As soon as I embarked on my first off-road adventure on this e-bike, I knew I was going to love it. And this bike not only took me where I planned to ride, it also took me beyond where I planned to ride. And I've had some great adventures with this bike, and I'm going to show you a lot of scenes from those adventures today while I tell you about this bike and why I like it so much. Because if you're in the market for a great adventuring e-bike, you're definitely going to want to check this one out. So the first thing right away that I noticed about this e-bike is the frame is super rugged. And unlike a lot of e-bikes, this frame is a singular solid piece. It doesn't have those welds on it in different parts of the frame holding it together. There are no visible welds. And for this bike in particular, I really like that because if I'm doing a lot of off-roading where there's a lot of bumps, oftentimes surprise bumps where you're not ready for it, and with this bike, I don't feel like this bike is one hard bump away from a weld breaking on me. In addition, the frame on this bike just looks really cool. It's very aerodynamic. It's got a futuristic rear light that kind of has that techie vibe. And the colors and styling of this bike, it just makes it one of the more attractive e-bikes I've seen. Of course, a bike looking great is all good and well, but there's a lot more that matters about an e-bike than how it looks. So let's talk about the performance on this e-bike. This e-bike has some pretty impressive specs. So the Vanpowers Grand Teton Pro comes with a 750 watt hub motor. And I found this motor gives me more than enough power when I'm using pedal assist or the throttle on moderate hills. I love to ride those gravel and forest paths that are rarely flat. There's almost always ups and downs. And in order to handle those ups and downs well, you do need a good derailleur. And this particular bike has the Shimano Q's 9-speed derailleur. And I found this really provides the needed gears for going up hills, down hills, and on flat terrain. When I need to climb those moderate hills, the lower gears are great. And then when I'm going down the hills or on that more level terrain, the higher gears are excellent there as well. In fact, much of the time, if I'm on level or going downhill, I have it cranked all the way up to 9th gear. And I really love how 9th gear feels. It feels great when I'm flying along on gravel and grass, and everything just syncs up well. I'm pedaling, the bike's moving how I want it to. It's just the right amount of resistance there. And this bike also has a really nice torque sensor on it. The torque sensor is 130 Newton meters, and that torque sensor is great for off-roading. It's not going to give you problems with moderate hills. And that 130 Newton meters is something I would definitely expect from a higher quality e-bike like this one. And of course, when riding on the hilly terrain, especially going down it, braking performance matters a lot. And I found the 203mm hydraulic disc brakes on the GT Pro to be very responsive and more than adequate on those steep descents. And that strong stopping power is definitely noticeable. In fact, you definitely want to test out those brakes first and get acquainted with them before you have to use them suddenly, because it is so responsive that I was not expecting quite that level of responsiveness. And my first time, I almost went over the handlebars. That's how good it was. And when hitting ruts or getting a little bit of air, the 120mm air suspension fork on this bike really helps to cushion the landing. And this bike does have good size 26-inch wheels with those 4-inch fat tires. And this gives a really nice feeling while riding. It also gives a lot of confidence when you're riding in dirt, gravel, or grass. Those 4-inch tires are very grippy, and I don't feel like the bike is going to slide out from under me, even when I'm going sideways, making a sharp turn. It gives me a lot of confidence when riding that I'm not going to wipe out on some of those non-traditional riding surfaces. This bike does have a maximum load capacity of 400 pounds, and the rear rack specifically can support up to 120 pounds. So a lot of bikes don't have anywhere close to that for a rear rack capacity. And I find that to be great if you want to bring along a lot of outdoor gear. Maybe you want to ride this bike and camp out somewhere in the woods and you need to bring along a good sized pack, a tent, stuff like that. That 120 pound weight capacity for the rear rack is more than enough to bring more gear than you're going to need. And when it comes to usability of this bike, the usability is really quite simple and straightforward. After ensuring your battery is charged up, all you have to do to start riding is you power on the bike right here with this button on the left side. And then once you've powered it on, you pick your pedal assist mode and you take off. And this bike does have 3 pedal assist modes. These modes are called Eco, Sport, and Boost. So Eco is going to be the least amount of pedal assist, Sport is going to be medium, and then Boost is going to be so much pedal assist you barely have to push on those pedals. It basically feels like throttle. And since this is a Class 2 e-bike, it will go up to 20 miles per hour. But with the Vanpowers VanLife app, you can actually unlock the capability to have this be a Class 3 e-bike. And I'll show you more about the VanLife app in a moment. So the battery that comes included with this bike, it will give you up to 93 miles of range. And of course, how much range you get is largely going to depend on the terrain you're riding on, what pedal assist mode you use, how much throttle you use. There's going to be a lot of factors there, because those higher pedal assist modes and more throttle is of course going to eat through the battery quicker, just the same as if you're riding on more hilly terrain, especially a lot of ups, versus if you're on level or more downs. But of course, using the gear strategically and properly when going up or going down is going to help you get even better battery life as well. And it is worth noting that Vanpowers does also offer an extended battery option, and that extended battery will double the range this bike can go. It'll give you all the way up to 185 miles of range. I do not currently own the extended battery, but I wanted to mention this as it's a great option this bike offers, and not all e-bikes offer the ability to extend the battery. So back here to the layout on the handlebars. The brakes, of course, are where brakes normally are on a bike. The thumb throttle is right here, and the display is right here. And I love e-bikes that have the thumb throttle. I like that a lot better than the throttle you have to turn. The thumb throttle is just much more intuitive, and it's just in the great place. It's easy to use, and it just feels right. It makes it easy to engage power quickly when that power is needed. And this bike also does come with some really nice front and rear lights. To turn on the lights, all you have to do is press and hold on the light button right here, and it's going to turn on the front light and the rear lights. And then if you single press the button again, it's going to toggle to high beam for the front light. So the front light, you can go between low beam and high beam. And those backlights, when you're braking on the bike, those lights are going to blink, which is a really good safety feature. And I'm going to talk about the safety features in a moment, but that is one of the safety features I really like about this bike. And those lights are very large. They definitely get attention if somebody was behind you in a vehicle. So as I mentioned earlier, Vanpowers does have an app called VanLife, and this app will allow you to connect your phone to your bike and see a lot of stats and data and details on your bike and any rides that you do. So on the main screen, you'll be able to see how much battery life you have left, approximately how many miles of range you have left, and you can also change the pedal assist modes from the app as well. And as I mentioned earlier, you can also use the app to convert your bike into a Class 3 e-bike. So it's going to unlock the ability to ride this bike at Class 3 speeds. Of course, do make sure to read the disclaimers and make sure that it's legal to ride this bike in Class 3 mode wherever you're riding. And I think one of the coolest features about this app is you can chart your ride on a map in the app. You can have this connected to your bike, and it's going to chart all of that on the map on your phone. So when you're done with your ride, you can see on the map where you went. So if you're like me and you like stats and data, you'll love what this app offers at no cost. So let's talk about a few more safety features on this bike that I haven't yet mentioned. So one of the safety features I like to look at before I buy an e-bike is I like to look at the battery, and I like to see if it's UL certified. And this battery is indeed UL certified. It does meet UL 2849 standards, which is a very high standard for e-bike batteries. So I appreciate that. Not all brands have a UL certification, and not all of them have a UL certification that's that high. I also like to look at any certifications that the bike materials have, and this bike is certified to meet GCC, FCC, and CA65 standards. And of course, a lot of the specs I mentioned earlier, those in a way are safety features as well, like those brakes being the size they are. That's a really good safety feature. And just the way the bike is designed, it feels good riding it. It feels like my weight is well distributed, and the bike is just easy and fun to ride. So if you're like me and you like adventuring and exploring on those off the beaten path trails, which I love, I definitely recommend checking out the Vanpowers Grand Teton Pro. The Grand Teton Pro has been a durable and powerful e-bike for exploring, and it really makes those biking adventures all the more fun. So I've linked to this e-bike in the description below if you want to check it out. And if you're not looking for an e-bike off the beaten path and you would like an e-bike that's more urban oriented, check out this video right here for another great option from Vanpowers.